the special favor of Allah. Awliya Allah. The universe is the body and its soul. Awliya Allah. Awliya Allah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyid al-Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'awudhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. Viewers of Madani Channel, welcome to this series of programs called Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow. And in these series of programs, we delve into the past, into our rich heritage. We look at our pious predecessors. We look at the companions of the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. We learn from the lives of these people. We learn from yesterday so that we can make a change today, so that we can have a better tomorrow. Before we begin, we're going to give you a blessing of reciting Durud e-Pak upon the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam is reported to have said that when a true believer recites salat one time upon me, Allahu Akbar, Allah Azza wa Jal blesses him with 10 virtues, forgives 10 of his sins, and raises his status by 10 times. And this is equal to setting 10 slaves free. Allahu Akbar. And what do you have to do to achieve this? To have Iman and recite Durud e-Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam just once. Allahu Akbar. Viewers of Madani Channel, the reason why we give you the blessings of reciting Durud e-Pak is so that we all become habitual in reciting Durud e-Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We make it part of our daily routine, and also by learning these blessings, if you can pass these blessings on to other people as well, that inshallah azza wa jal, they become habitual in reciting Durud e-Pak, and you will also get the reward for them reciting Durud e-Pak as well. So please make it part of your daily routine. We've said it before that there are many times where you're waiting for things to happen. Don't be waiting for things to happen. Don't have that waiting time turned into wasted time. Utilize that time, and who knows, that one extra Durud e-Pak that you send today might make all the difference on the Day of Judgment. Today we're going to look a little bit more about the personality and the scholarly status of Ghaus e-Pak, and we can understand hopefully from today, we'll understand his service that he gave to Islam. And when we hear about the people of the past of the channel, when we hear about their services to the Islam, their sacrifice for the Deen of Islam, without doubt, viewers of the channel, if it was not for these certain individuals, and there are many, alhamdulillah, if it was not for these individuals that carried on this mission that was brought down by the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to call people towards good, forbid them from committing evil, if they did not continue with that mission, then who knows where we would be today. And that again is the mission of Dawah Islami, to continue with that mission of our pious predecessors, to call people to the right path, forbid them from committing evil. And the mission statement of Dawah Islami, as we all know, is that I must strive to rectify myself and rectify the people of the whole world, inshaAllah azza wa jal. His narrators, viewers of the channel, that Sayyiduna Hafiz Abul Abbas Ahmad rahmatullahi ta'ala said that I once went to the Ijtimai Ghausiyah of Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala, that I was sitting there, and with me was Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullahi ta'ala, and a Qari recited the Holy Quran. After the recitation, Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala started the sermon, and the Holy Quran was recited. Mentioning the commentary of one of the ayahs, he rahmatullahi ta'ala mentioned the meaning of one ayah. I asked this person, he said, I asked Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullahi ta'ala, that do you know about this commentary that he's mentioned? And he gave a positive reply. Afterwards, Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala mentioned many other commentaries. And every time that the commentary was mentioned, this person would turn to Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullahi ta'ala and ask him, do you know about this commentary? And after 11 commentaries, Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullahi continuously said, yes, I know about this commentary. Yes, I know about the commentary. But from the 12th commentary onwards, up to how many views of my channel, Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala mentioned 40 different commentaries on that one ayat of the Quran. And every time this person, when he looked at Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullahi ta'ala and asked him, are you aware of this commentary? He said, I'm not aware of this. I'm not aware of this. I'm not aware of this. Allahu Akbar. Viewers of Madani Channel, if I was to ask you, or even even the scholars today, viewers of my channel, even if our scholars that we ask them, of today's scholars, to give me the commentary on a certain ayat in the Quran, how many of us would know them commentaries off by heart? I mean, nowadays we've got it easy, haven't we? We've got these iPads in front of us, yeah? We've got these PC tablets in front of us, and if anybody asks us a question, we've got books in front of us, we can look at the references, we can read out the references, we can read out the books. But this wasn't the case then, viewers of the channel. A lot of the knowledge was refrained to memory. They kept it retained in memory, viewers of the channel. Yes, they wrote things down. People did write things down, without doubt. But these people had this remarkable memory as well of remembering this. And just think about it, 40 commentaries on a certain ayat. Can we even mention, can we even name 40 commentaries, that commentators of the Quran, that people commentated on the Quran, 40 commentators? Very few of us will be able to do this. And so we see from this, viewers of the channel, that the status and rank of Ghaus e-Pak and his knowledge can easily be judged, as he mentioned 40 commentaries of only one ayat, and at the same time 29 of these 40 commentaries were not even blessed. Even Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullah, who was a scholar of his time, a great scholar of his time, an imam of his time, he did not know about them 29 commentaries. And it is stated, Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullah, that he wrote many valuable Islamic books and other arts and sciences, in addition to the knowledge of Quran, Hadith, Fiqh, Geography and Medicine. It is said that the number of books is more than 300. Many of them consist of many volumes, and some booklets are also included inside them. Allahu Akbar. It is stated that Imam Ibn Jawzi rahmatullah was the Imam in the sermon of oration. He wrote best books on different arts and sciences. He would also teach, and also he was a Hafizul Hadith. Allahu Akbar. A Hafiz al-Hadith. Nowadays, because of the channel, we are aware of Hafiz al-Quran, that a person who learns the Quran off by heart. From Surah Fatiha to the end of Surah Nas, a person that learns that off by heart, he is called a Hafiz al-Quran. But a Hafiz al-Hadith, and Hafiz al-Hadith is a person who has memorized how many? 100,000 blessed hadiths. Not only 100,000 blessed hadiths, but with the references as well. So we're not talking about a person that didn't have knowledge. We're talking about a great personality, Allama ibn Jawzi rahmatullah ta'ala, and yet his knowledge when it came to the commentary of the Quran, and when Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah ta'ala mentioned the commentaries, and he mentioned 40 different commentaries, then this person, this great personality, he only knew 11 of those commentaries, of the 40 commentaries that were mentioned from Ghaus e-Pak. And from this views of the channel, we can easily see the depth of the knowledge of Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah. Just think about how that knowledge was there, how he achieved that great knowledge. And Ghaus e-Pak, he was blessed. Right from his birth, he was blessed. Right from the birth, he was blessed. It is stated, viewers of the channel, just to give you a little bit of background for our viewers, because unfortunately, many of our viewers, they may have heard the word Ghaus e-Pak. We may have heard a little bit about him, but do we know his background? Do we know where he is born? Do we know anything of this? Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah, he was born in Jilan. Jilan is near the sacred Baghdad in Iraq. He was born on the 1st of Ramadan, 470 al-Hijri. It is stated that on the eve of his birth, Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah, his father, Sayyidi Abu Saleh Musa Jangi Dost rahmatullah, saw in his dream the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam, along with his blessed companions. And with the blessed companions, they were the pious saints of the past. And they were visiting his house, and they were giving him the following good news. O Abu Salih, Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed you with a pious son. He is my beloved and the beloved of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And his rank amongst the pious saints is similar to my rank amongst the Anbiya and the Mursaleen. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. It is also stated that besides the beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala wasallam, other blessed Anbiya also gave the glad tidings to the father of Sayyidina Ghaus Azam rahmatullah ta'ala, that all of the awliya of Allah will be obedient to his son, as his son's blessed foot will be on their neck. That is the status of Ghaus e-Pak, views of the channel. And we can realize from this, these two little events that we mentioned, these dreams that we mentioned, that our Ghaus e-Pak, yes, I will say our Ghaus e-Pak, Allahu Akbar, he's ours, isn't he? He's ours. Our Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah has such a great status and dignity that just after his birth, the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who would give the news of Ghaib, had given the glad tidings of the great status and dignity of Ghaus e-Pak. And he also told his father that his son, i.e. Ghaus e-Pak, will be the leader of all of the awliya. Therefore, the blessings began to shower, and it was witnessed straight after his birth. This is the great status of our Ghaus e-Pak. Yes, our Ghaus e-Pak. It is our rich heritage, and we need to be proud of this Viewsman channel. We are fortunate that we have this rich heritage. We are fortunate that we have these rich personalities behind us, and we need to be proud of that. We need to be proud of that, but that pride can only be felt if we know what we are being proud about. Yes, I'm feeling proud. What about what? I don't know. So we need to feel that pride inside us. Be happy inside us that we have this rich heritage, and find out about these people. We're going to take a small break now, inshallah. And when we come back, we're going to continue with this topic on the scholarly status of Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala. Let's take a small break. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Blessings of Allah, blessings of
صلوا على الحبيب صلى الله تعالى على محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم. Karamat related to Ghaus Azam's childhood. Dear viewers of Madani Channel, Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi was a wali by birth, and this is evident from a number of karamat manifested during his childhood. Let's listen to a few karamas. Sayyiduna Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi came into this world on a Monday, the first of Ramadan al-Mubarak, at the time of dawn. His lips were moving slowly, and he was heard saying, Allah, Allah. On the day of his birth, 1100 boys were born in Jilan Sharif, and all of them became saints of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi kept the first fast on the day he rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi was born. He rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi did not feed on his mother's milk until sunset. Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi kept all the fasts of that month. When Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi was made to sit with a saint to practice his first recitation of Bismillah at the age of 5 years, he recited A'udhu Billah and Bismillah, and then recited from the first para to the 18th para of the Holy Quran. The saint said, "Son, recite ahead." He rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi replied, "This is all what I memorized when I was in my mother's womb, because my mother also memorized this much." When Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi would intend to play, he rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi would hear a divine voice, "O Abdul Qadir, we have not created you for playing." When Ghaus Azam rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi used to go to the madrasa, a voice would be heard saying, "Give room to Allah's friend. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam."
Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. MashaAllah, you just heard a small package there about some of the miracles that were performed by Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala. And that's why I keep on saying, our Ghaus e-Pak, Allahu Akbar, our Ghaus e-Pak. Many remarkable events also took place at his birth as well. And we mentioned the dream that the father of Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala had. And it said that every woman of the city of Jilan, the village of Jilan, every woman of that Jilan village also gave birth to a son that same night that Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala was born. And every one of them children also became a wali of their time as well. Allahu Akbar. So not only the blessings surrounded the child's birth, but everywhere around, Allahu Akbar, had the blessings of this child. And it stated that Ghaus e-Pak, that when he was born, and he was born on the 1st of Ramadan, and people were not sure that is it the Ramadan or is it not Ramadan? Should we fast tomorrow or should we not fast tomorrow? And people had heard that this blessed child was born, and they went to the mother and asked the mother, and the mother said that my son is not drinking milk, so it is Ramadan. He, even from that young age, he would not drink milk from his mother during the days of Ramadan. Allahu Akbar. It is stated that when he was a young child, and at the age of 5, when he went to the madrasa the first time, and the Imam Sahib, the Qari there, said to the child, recite Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and started reciting this. And Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala, he recited Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He started reciting Surah Fatiha, Surah Baqarah, and he continued and continued and he continued. And he did not stop until he recited 8 18, yes, 18 para of the Quran was recited by this young 5-year-old child. Allahu Akbar. And when he was asked, when the Imam said, because obviously you can imagine the shock that was there, that this young child, only 5 years old, is reciting the Quran, like a Hafiz Quran, beautiful recitation. And when the child was asked, continue, carry on, and he stopped. And he said, I do not know anymore. And they asked him, how did you know 18 and how did you not know more? And he said that my mother used to recite the Quran and she knew 18 para of the Quran, and I heard them when I was in the womb of my mother and I remembered them off by heart from that time. Allahu Akbar. Now some people will say, how is that possible? How is that possible? You know, I'm going to say this, science, I'm not saying that, you know, we've caught up with science, is catching up with us. Science is catching up with us now, that it says that a child in the womb, the atmosphere around it affects the child. So if a child is brought up in an environment where there is loud music, where there's films and dramas, where there's all these dramas going on, yeah, then that child will be reflected by that. He will see that as his norm. Or if a child from that age, from the time that the child is conceived, all he hears is the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. He hears the Holy Quran, or the child hears the Durud e-Pak upon the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then that will have an impact on that child. And so this particular child from the mother's womb, that child learned 18 surah of the Holy Quran, which in itself is a miracle. I'm not saying that if you recite 18 surah of the Quran or the Holy Quran that your child will be born a Hafiz Quran. No. This was again one of the special favors that were bestowed upon Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah ta'ala, that he had this ability to acquire this knowledge and from his mother's womb so that he could recite 18 para of the Quran. Sayyiduna Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah ta'ala, he said that he was still a small child when his father Sayyidi Abu Salim Musa Jangi Dost rahmatullah ta'ala passed away. And Ghaus e-Pak was then brought up by Sayyidina Abdullah Somai. His maternal grandfather, Sayyidina Abdullah Somai, was one of the noble Islamic scholars of Jilan, who also possessed great spiritual characteristics and attributes. And so he was brought up by him. And someone later asked Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani rahmatullah ta'ala, when did you realize, at what point in your life did you realize that you were a friend of Allah, that you were a wali of Allah? And Ghaus e-Pak replied that I was 10 years of age. And as I was going to the madrasa for studying, I would see that the angels would say to the boys there, make space for the seating of the wali of Allah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. After acquiring his knowledge in the city of Jilan, then he wanted to go and acquire more knowledge, and he went to Baghdad. At the age of 18, he went to Baghdad to acquire that knowledge. Now, I'm going to relate the event that took place via the Madani Channel. But before we relate that event, Ghaus e-Pak's mother was 60 years of age when she gave birth to Ghaus e-Pak. So at the time of the son's departure to Baghdad, Ghaus e-Pak's mother was approximately 78 years of age. And the event was this, that Ghaus e-Pak, he went outside the village and the cows were in the field and the youngsters were following the cows in the field. And Ghaus e-Pak, he started to follow one of the cows, and the cow stopped and turned and looked at him and spoke to him and said, "Oh Abdul Qadir, you were not created for this." Now he was shocked at this and he went home. He went home and he went to the roofs of his house. And people that have gone to the Middle East, in the Indian subcontinent, the houses there have flat roofs. Ghaus e-Pak, as a young man, he went to the roof of his house. It was the day of Arafat. And from the village of Jilan, he could see the plains of Arafat. He could see the Muslims that were worshipping Allah Azza wa Jalla on the plains of Arafat. He came down and related everything to his mother and sought permission from his mother to go to Baghdad to acquire the knowledge of the deen. And his mother sewed the inheritance that she had for him, 40 gold dinars, sewed it into his jacket. And she said two things to her son. "My son, go in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, and inshallah Azza wa Jal we will meet on the day of judgment." And the second thing she said to her son, "My son, take my advice, no matter what happens, never ever lie." The first thing that she said. And you know, it's remarkable, the more I read this, and I see that the mother of Ghaus e-Pak was 78 years of age. Do you not need support at that time in your life? Do you not need a young son there that can look after you, that can help you in the household chores, that can possibly get married and settle down and have a daughter-in-law there to look after you in the house and everything there? Surely, you're 78 years of age. You're not a young person now. And I remember reading this and I thought to myself that at that time, letting her son go forever basically, that I will meet you on the day of judgment, was amazing. But then when I realized that the mother was now in her late 70s, isn't it amazing even more? The sacrifice that the mother made then. And nowadays when we want to go in the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla and we stop our children from going, even if they're only going for 3 days, forget 3 days, if they go to the weekly Ijtima on a Thursday night for a couple of hours, oh no, what are you doing going there for? There's so much that needs to be done, so much that needs to be done. And these, again, are shaitanic whispers of Yusuf Madani Channel, that won't stop our children from playing on their PC tablets for hours. We won't stop our children from going on social media and spending hours there. We won't stop our children from going on the computers and playing games online or playing games with people for hours and hours and hours on end. We won't stop our children going to play football or cricket or any other sport. But when it comes to traveling in the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla, all of a sudden we find that our children have so many other things that they need to be doing. All of a sudden we say, no, you should be at home. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. You haven't got time to waste doing this. Number one, it's not wasted time. And number two, why is it that all of a sudden we find it important that they need to do this, this and this, when all that time that they wasted on other things, we've never bothered? In the same way that when it comes to our children going to the school, we make sure that they get up early. We make sure that they have the breakfast and they're ready for going to school. We'll drop them off at the school. But when it comes to the madrasa, the father will say, you know what, I'm tired today. Take a day off today, it doesn't matter. Yeah. The child says, oh, my stomach's it. Okay, beta, don't problem. Yeah. And the littlest excuse, the slightest excuse, and the child won't go to the madrasa. But when it comes to school, we'll drag the child. We'll grab hold of the child, grab hold of the bag, and we'll put him in the car and say, you're going to school, there's nothing wrong with you, stop messing about. But when it comes to the madrasa, all of a sudden, we become extra caring parents. Oh, my poor child, he's tired. My poor child's not feeling well. But when it came to the school, was your child not feeling well then? Was your child not tired then? How many children struggle to get up for school? Do we say, okay, it's okay, better you stay in bed, no problem, don't worry, I know you're tired. No, get up, you're going to school. When it comes to madrasa, Dad, I'm tired. Acha? Okay, beta. Go and play on your PC game. And then if we say, if that child grows up and now wants to go to the weekly Ijtima for 2 or 3 hours, if that child grows up and now wants to travel in the way of Allah in a Madani Kafla, all of a sudden we think it's a huge burden on them. How can you spend 3 days away from the home? That same child can go on holiday. That same child can go abroad. That same child you can take to Pakistan or India for weeks and weeks and weeks, but you cannot send them in the way of Allah for 3 days. You cannot get them to do the Islamic courses. Why? Because all of these shaitanic whispers, these shaitanic excuses come on you. I remember there's a brother. He used to travel very, very regularly on a Madani Kafla. And he used to say to me that when I'd made the intention that next Friday I'm going to travel on the Madani Kafla, all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all these excuses used to come to my mind. If you go on the Madani Kafla, you won't be able to do this. If you go on the Madani Kafla, you won't be able to do that. That's going to get delayed. That job's not going to get done. Who's going to do this? Who's going to see that? I need to do this. I need to do that. All of these things would come in my head. Everything would come in my head. But then as soon as I put my first step inside the masjid, all of them worries would disappear. And he said, I learned to realize that all of these things were shaitanic whispers. Because them works that needed to be done, they would be done on Monday, they would be done on Tuesday when I come back. And these are all shaitanic whispers that stop us from traveling in the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla. I remember there was another brother. He was a garage owner. He used to have a garage. And the brothers used to invite him for the Madani Kaflas very nicely, very politely. And he realized that they were very nice brothers, polite brothers. And he would politely say, look, I'm busy. I've got a lot of jobs this weekend. I can't do it. I'm going to work in the weekend. I've got this to do. And obviously, he was a busy person because his garage was probably open 6 days, maybe 7 days a week. But still, they continued to convince him that, look, one weekend, what's wrong if you close your garage for one weekend? And he would say, no, this, and this. One day, he eventually said, you know what, you've been so nice. Every time you come and you politely ask, you know what, forget it. I'm going to lock my garage up. I'll go with you. I'll lock my garage up and I'll come with you on the Madani Kafla. So the Madani Kafla, Friday morning left. Friday, Saturday, Sunday evening, as they're cleaning the masjid and packing up, getting ready to go home, he's sitting there, crying. And the brothers say, what's happened? Everything okay? And he'd say, I'm not going home, I'm staying here. And the brother said to him, what do you mean, what, you're staying here? You can't stay here, we've got to go home now. No, I'm staying here, I'm not going. And they said, look, you were the same person that we struggled to convince you to come, and now you don't want to go home. He said, I've never felt so spiritually enlightened, so much peace in my mind and heart that I felt since I spent 3 days in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. And I recommend all the viewers, all the viewers of Madani Channel, all the brothers, please, if you've never been before, travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. Travel on a Madani Qafla for 3 days. And inshallah, Azza wa Jal, if you do not feel a change inside you after 3 days, then you can come and find me and grab me, inshallah. The sisters that are watching, convince your husbands, convince your children, your sons to travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. It will make a change in them. You know, without sacrifice, we achieve nothing, viewers of the channel. And we see that Ghaus e-Pak sacrificed his whole life. Not 3 days, not a 7-day kafla, not a 12-day kafla, not a 30-day kafla, not a 12-month kafla. His whole life, he traveled in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. He spread the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. He forbid what is wrong and promoted what is good all his life. And it's because of them people and people like him, that we are sitting here today. These people of the past, they made great sacrifices. Can we not make these small sacrifices? Can we not travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal for 3 days? I'm asking you, I'm requesting you, especially all the brothers that are watching now, please, make an intention. Contact your local zimmerdars of the Islam, and say to them, look, as soon as the first opportunity arises to travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, my name is there, I'm ready to travel. Make the intention now, give your name, give your number to the zimmerdar, and inshallah Azza wa Jal, the reward meter will effectively start now. Your rewards will start now because you made that good intention. You're getting the reward for that good intention right now. Make that intention. Today, before the end of the day, before you go to sleep, send a message. If you have the number of the zimmerdar, send a message to them and say, I want to travel on a 3-day Madani Qafla. As soon as the first opportunity arises, I live in this area. Let me know when the next Madani Qafla travels. Travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. And if during these 3 days, maybe you travel, maybe you are quite a knowledgeable person. If for 3 days, after them 3 days, you say to yourself, oh, I didn't learn anything new. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't learn anything new, but for 3 days, you were a guest in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. For 3 days, you read your namaz with Jamaat 5 times a day. For 3 days, you were in the front saf. What greater reward can one ask? So please, viewers of the channel, make an intention to travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. We're going to take a small break now, the kalam of the day, inshallah Azza wa Jal. And then inshallah, when we come back, we're going to continue talking about this topic. Let's go to the kalam of the day. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
नज़रे करम खुदारा पीरों के पीर नज़रे करम खुदारा रोशन ज़मीर नज़रे करम खुदारा नज़रे करम खुदारा सरकार गौसे आज़म नज़रे करम खुदा फकीर हूँ तुम्हारा नज़रे करम खुदारा ऐ शाहे जीला नज़रे करम खुदारा ऐ मीरे मीरा नज़रे करम खुदारा नज़रे करम खुदारा सबका कोई न कोई दुनिया में आसरा है सबका कोई न कोई दुनिया में आसरा है मेरा बजुज़ तुम्हारे सहारा नज़रे करम खुदारा پیرا نظر کرم خدا را اے پیر پیرا نظر کرم خدا را نظر کرم خدا را مولا علی کا صدقہ داتا پیا کا صدقہ گنجے شکر کا صدقہ احمد رضا کا صدقہ نوری ضیا کا صدقہ مرشد پیا کا صدقہ میری لاج رکھ لو یا غوث میری لاج رکھ لو یا غوث میں مرید ہوں تمہارا نظر کرم خدا را پیروں کے پیر نظر کرم خدا را روشن ضمیر نظر کرم خدا را نظر کرم خدا را جھولی ہماری بھر دو ورنہ کہے گی دنیا جھولی ہماری بھر دو ورنہ کہے گی دنیا ایسے سخی کا منگتا شاہ جینا کا منگتا پھرتا ہے مارا مارا نظر کرم خدا را اے شاہ جینا نظر کرم خدا را اے میر میرا نظر کرم خدا را نظر کرم خدا را یہ عطا دستگیری کوئی میرے دل سے پوچھے یہ عطا دستگیری کوئی میرے دل سے پوچھے وہی آ گئے مدد کو وہی آ گئے مدد کو میں نے جب جہاں پکارا نظر کرم خدا را اے میرے میرا نظر کرم خدا را اے پیر پیرا نظر کرم خدا را نظر کرم خدا را یہ تیرا کرم ہے مرشد جو بنا لیا ہے اپنا یہ تیرا کرم ہے مرشد جو بنا لیا ہے اپنا کہاں روسیا فریدی کہاں مجھ سا یہ نکما کہاں سلسلہ تمہارا نظر کرم خدا را پیروں کے پیر نظر کرم خدا را روشن ضمیر نظر کرم خدا را نظر کرم خدا را
Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching yesterday, today and tomorrow. We just heard a kalam about the great status of e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala. Before the break, we were talking about that event that took place where e-Pak rahmatullahi ta'ala left his home and the mother, she sent him on his way and said to him that I would meet you on the day of judgment. And not only that, she gave him some money, the expenses as well. Again, that's something that we need to think about, that, supporting those people that are traveling in the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and supporting those people that are acquiring the knowledge of the deen. But also, e-Pak, that his mother also said to him that, my son, no matter what happens, do not lie. And many, many years later, when he was asked about the success that he had, the fact that so many people came to his madrasa, so many people came to him, so many people came and listened to him, so many people came, his murids, he got this great status that he had. What was the basis, the foundation of all of this? And he said that the root of all of this was the fact, in my life, I had never, ever, ever told a lie. And he related the story that his mother had told him never to tell a lie. And the story is that, and we've heard it many, many times, that he went to Baghdad, and on the way to Baghdad, the caravan that he was traveling, he was attacked by robbers, and the robbers took all the wealth of people. And when they came to him, they asked him, do you have any money? And he said, I have these 40 gold dinars. And they searched him, couldn't find it. So they thought he was making a fool of them or joking with them. They got angry with him, took him to the chief of the robbers. The chief of the robbers asked him, and then he unpicked it and gave the money there. And they were shocked. They were shocked and asked him that, why did you not just lie? Obviously, you need this money, you're traveling, we couldn't find it, why did you not lie? And he said, I made a promise to my mother that I would never lie, and I'm never going to break that promise. And them words had a profound impact on the chief of the robbers and all of the robbers as well. That the chief of the robbers said that you have not broken the promise that you have made to your mother. We are breaking the promises that we have made to Allah Azza wa Jalla every single day, that we are not following the commands of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And they repented from that, viewers of the channel, and they repented at the hands of e-Pak, and it said that all of them also became walis of their time. But the most important thing there is that we see that the fact that he never ever lied. He never ever lied. And that again is something that, he never told a lie in his lifetime. And that is something that we need to teach our children as well. We mentioned it before, the importance of telling the truth. But we can hear from it the impact that telling the truth has on the lives of people. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, hold on to the truth, because truth leads to righteousness. Righteousness leads to Jannat. And a man continues speaking the truth and striving for the truth until he is written before Allah Azza wa Jal as very truthful. Refrain from lying, for lying leads to sin, and sin leads to hell. A man continues lying and tends to tell lies until in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal he is written as a big liar. But nowadays, do we emphasize with our children? Do we put an importance on our children to speak the truth? Or do they just say anything we listen to it? Now the problem is twofold here. Number one, we don't teach our children to tell the truth. And number two, we teach our children to lie. Yes, we do. We teach our children to lie. How is this? By our actions, viewers of the channel. The fact that we are lying in front of our children, and our children know that we are lying. You're teaching your children to lie. Someone's come to the front door. Your child goes to the front door. And before he gets to the front door, you say to your child, if it's for me, tell him I'm not in. Okay, so the child goes to the front door, opens the front door, the person said, is your dad in? No, my dad's not in. Okay, close the door. What have you taught him? You've taught him to lie. You taught him to lie, yes. And so what happens is, he now thinks that lying is a good thing, because what's happened now, I can see that my father's tired. He doesn't want to meet anybody. And so he lied so he can continue watching his TV or his drama that he's watching now. So lying is a good thing. You taught him that. You taught him that. And in the same way, unless we teach our children the importance of telling the truth, of not only importance of telling the truth and refraining from lying, but rewarding them when they speak the truth. Sometimes our children do things that are wrong. And if you say to the children, look, tell me the truth. Don't worry, I won't punish you, but at least tell me the truth. And if that child plucks up the courage and tells you the truth, then reward that child, praise that child. Say to that child, my son, I'm not happy with you that you've done this, but I am happy with you that you spoke the truth. And my son, please remember always, no matter what, speak the truth. Don't lie. There is no benefits in lying. And for this environment, viewers of the channel, we need to tell our children the stories of this kind of an environment that they need to be brought into. And Amir Sunnah, the founder of Dawat, he's written books. He's written books specifically for children, so that we've got some children's stories that we can listen at home. There's a book called Noor Wala Chehra, Luminous Face. Again, we will learn about the worldly and religious disadvantages of video games in there. We'll learn about the love of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in there. Pharaoh ka Khwab, Pharaoh's dream. In this, inshallah, we'll know about the eminence and the glory of Sayyidina Musa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we'll also know about the harm of cold drinks as well. Unique son, inshallah, in that we'll learn about Sayyidina Hazrat Ibrahim sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the harm of eating chocolates, toffees, and candies, and all these other things as well. Juta Chor, the lying thief. Insha'Allah, we'll learn stories in there for our child as well that they benefit from. Now, viewers of the channel, unless we create that environment in our homes, then our children will not be able to benefit from this whatsoever. So we need to create that environment in our home where children can learn these stories and learn from these events and improve their character as well. And this is our responsibility. Don't think it's the responsibility of the Imam Sahib. It's not the responsibility of anybody else. With regards to Ghaus e-Pak, it is said that when he was acquiring knowledge, viewers of the channel, when he was acquiring knowledge, then what he would do is he would learn his lesson. When he was in Baghdad, he would learn his lesson. Then he would go out to the cities, out to the city and sit in the jungle area. It'd be hot, it'd be cold, it'd be windy, everything, all the different the seasons were there when he was studying. And he would have nothing to eat. And if he found something to eat, he would eat it. And if he saw that other people were also searching for food, then he would leave them. And it said that he would sleep on pebbles, on a pebble floor, and that's how he would sleep. And, you know, again, the importance that he had for acquiring knowledge, the importance that he struggled and strived for this, he didn't give up. And nowadays you see people, viewers of the channel, that when they start at Jamiatul Madina, I know of a student that started at Jamiatul Madina, and after a few years, they kept on having this dream. And in this dream, they were seeing dogs and snakes and scorpions that were stopping them from going to the Jamia. They were stopping them from going to the Jamia. So they thought, what does this dream mean? And they went to a scholar and asked this scholar that, you know, when I'm going to the Jamia, yeah, there's these snakes and scorpions and dogs stopping me from going there. And the scholar said, in reality or in a dream? And the person said, oh, no, Azur, in a dream. I said, okay, that's normal. He said, even if it happened in reality, then you need to suffer this. Acquiring the knowledge of the deen is not easy. People will find these hurdles in the way of the deen. People have to struggle and strive to acquire the knowledge of the deen. It is not easy. It is easier to become a degree holder, to become a doctor, to become a lawyer, to become a barrister, to become a scholar of the deen. The hurdles, one, acquiring the knowledge is not easy. And second, the hurdles that are put in your place, because shaitan never going to want you to pass that down. He's never going to want you to complete that course. Shaitan will do everything to convince you it's not the right path. And one of the other shaitanic whispers that people put in the Jamia students is that, you know, what are you doing this for? So you can teach children Qaeda? Is that all you're doing it for? You're going to be poor all your life? You're not going to be able to afford to buy a house? You're not going to be able to get married? You're not going to be able to do this? You know, in this part, and these shaitanic whispers will come to the student. But a student needs to realize the importance of acquiring the knowledge of the deen. The fact that our pious predecessors struggled and strived, the likes of Ghaus e-Pak, they would go hungry because they realized the importance of acquiring the knowledge of the deen. Think to yourself, viewers of the channel, could Ghaus e-Pak not have gone back to Jilan, to his mother's house, stayed there in the nice warm bed, had warm food every single day? Could he have not done that? But instead he decided to sleep on pebbles, to eat grass and to eat leaves from the trees and to drink river water. Why did he do that? Because he realized the importance of knowledge, viewers on the channel. He knew that knowledge was the cure for sick souls. Knowledge was what we need to defend ourselves, to empower ourselves, to protect our iman. And that's why he struggled and strived. So the path of knowledge is not easy. Jannat is not easy. Paradise is not easy. Attaining the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jalla is not easy. Becoming a scholar of the deen is not easy. So we need to have this mindset that we have this strength inside us and courage inside us, that we're going to push away the whispers of shaitan. And we see that our students, they struggle. They struggle in the times where Ghaus e-Pak rahmatullah ta'ala, he felt he was struggling. And he struggled and he strived. And he said that there were times that he would find it so difficult. He would find it so difficult that he said that I would run into even such difficulties that even if the mountains would have blown to bits, if they would have run into the difficulties that I have faced. And he said that when those frequent difficulties would exceed my power of endurance, where I could not take any more, where I could not take them difficulties, he said, I would lie on the floor and I would recite the blessed ayat of the Quran. And the translation is, without doubt, there is ease with hardship. Allahu Akbar. And he said that after the recitation of these ayats, when I would raise my head, all of my troubles would come to an end and I would feel peaceful and satisfied. This is the status. Again, having patience, viewers on the channel, being satisfied with what Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us. Again, having that inside us. Ghaus e-Pak, he was satisfied with that. He knew the problems that he was facing, but he was satisfied with that. We have so much today. We have cars, houses, clothes, everything, mobile phones, PC, tablets, unit, and we're still not happy. We're still not happy with what Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran that they will be given double the reward, the recompense of their patience, teaching us to be patient. In another ayat of the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, and indeed we shall pay the patiently enduring a recompense which befits the best of their deeds. Whenever a Muslim receives a prick from any thorn or faces a slightly trouble than this, a rank is recorded for him and his sin belongs to him is removed. Even when you get a thorn prick and you show patience at that time, because you know, it happens, doesn't it? Sometimes at home, you're banging to the door, you're banging to something, and you get angry. Yeah? You got nobody to get angry with. It's no one else's fault. It's your own fault, but you still get angry, don't you? You get angry that you banged into that door. You get angry that you pricked yourself. Patience. Showing patience at that time. If you show patience at that time, then inshallah Azza wa Jal, you will get rewarded for it. In another hadith, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, whoever wants good from him, puts him to the test. Allah Azza wa Jal will put you to a test. So these tests are good for you, viewers of Madani Channel. So we need to understand the importance of patience and the importance of acquiring the knowledge of the deen. Going back to Ghaus e-Pak, and time is very, very short, that he spent 40 years of his life delivering lectures, calling people to the path of righteousness. And he said that in every one of his speeches that he gave, in every single one of his speeches, that if there was either somebody that came to Islam, or there was a simple person that repented from his sins, in every one of his speeches. This is the profound impact that he had on the knowledge that he passed on to us. So we see, viewers of the channel, coming to the end of the program now, we see from the scholarly status of Ghaus e-Pak the importance of acquiring knowledge and the importance of not only acquiring that knowledge, but passing on that knowledge as well. If you become a scholar of the deen, then you're like a treasure chest. Yeah? You've got so much treasure inside you. You've got gold inside you, diamonds inside you, jewels inside you. But you never show them jewels to anybody. You never pass on the beauty of them jewels. You never pass on the shining resemblance of them jewels to anybody else. And a scholar should be somebody that not only acquires the knowledge of the deen, but passes it on to others as well. And viewers of Madani Channel, that is what Dawat Islam is here for. Dawat Islam is here to empower us with that knowledge of the deen, to protect our iman. Dawat Islam is here to give us that mindset that, okay, protect your iman, but also help others to protect their iman as well. So when you see a good thing, when a Muslim sees a good thing for himself, he should share that with others as well. If you come to the weekly ijtima and you see that it's a good thing, invite other people to the weekly ijtima. If you see the benefits of traveling in the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla in Madani Kafla, then invite other people to the Madani Kafla. If you see the benefits in watching Madani Channel, then encourage other people to watch Madani Channel. So viewers of Madani Channel, please take a lesson from the people of the past. Take a lesson from the sacrifices that they made. Take a lesson from the knowledge that they acquired and how they acquired it, and make a change in your life. Look at what we've seen in the past. Look at the lessons from the past so that we can make a change today and have a better tomorrow. You've been watching yesterday, today and tomorrow. Keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The special favor of Allah. Awliya